Welcome to Season 2 of the Made in Maine podcast, where small businesses join together to think outside the box and learn how to roll with the punches and stay in the fight. We invite you to tune in whether you're a skeptic, on the fence, or have many years creating Maine-made products. Let's keep that entrepreneurial fire burning strong as we put Maine on the map with the Made in Maine podcast. Hey, Made in Maine podcast fans. Today we have Kate McAleer. She's the owner and founder of Bixby Co, an artisan confectionary producer located in the historic working waterfront of Rockland, Maine. Bixby Co was founded in 2011 to produce and sell unique, natural and organic chocolate products. Kate earned her honors and bachelor's from New York University and holds diplomas in pastry arts and culinary management from the Institute of Culinary Education in New York City. The first Bixby products were developed after experimentation and trial and error in the family kitchen and are currently sold across the country in over 3,000 specialty and natural food stores. Wow, that's a lot of stores, Kate. And you've also won some prizes through some different foundations and pitch competitions. And I just saw one recently with the All Stars Greenlight Maine reality TV show.
Yes, which you were part of.
I was part of it. Didn't make it as far as you did, but that was my second run at it. I did a season before that as well, season 5. Made it a little further in season 5, but not so much with the All Stars this season. How was that experience for you? You had done it previously before too, right?
I had, and I didn't even get beyond my first round in the first season. So it was an incredible process. It was all remote due to the pandemic. And so, you're kind of, I was frankly intimidated at the finale because I did the filming on my personal phone, and then the other companies that were the 3 finales, competing companies, had very professional.
That's something I noticed right away. They told me I had to do it remote, and I had to do, we needed to do all the recording here, and they might do a little editing on their end, but I'm pretty, I'm not very sophisticated and educated in the film world. We do the podcast and I do a little bit of editing, but I did the same thing. I had my phone, I had like some amateur lighting and, like a mediocre backdrop. And I did a little bit of B-roll and sent it to them. And then I saw the people that I went up against, and you could tell they had like professional work done on their pitch.
Extremely professional. So I felt that it was a lesson in your own, self-confidence, that you don't necessarily need to be the absolute Hollywood level production. It's the content and the message and how you deliver it that can help. So yeah, it was a long, over a year process. And what a kudos to them to continue it throughout the pandemic.
I know they had I remember they had some difficulties when I was on there, just, whether it was internet or audio, like just trying to do a show, this type of show through like virtually through Zoom or, I can't imagine the difficulties that they had, but it was definitely a long process for sure.
It was. And I think, I was competing against such incredible companies like yourself and others that it was just great to be among such great company, if you will, of other really cool entrepreneurs and cool businesses. And I don't know when I'll ever be up against a rocket ship again, but
was it a rocket ship? Really?
Yeah, in the final 3, one was a rocket ship called Blue Shift Aerospace.
Oh God, it's not rocket science, or maybe it is.
Right.
The chocolate company up against, that must have felt somewhat intimidating.
Yes.
Well,
especially since it's about scale, right? So I think when it came down to an impact for us was probably on a dollar per dollar basis. It's going to make a huge impact for anyone, but it's really going to make an impact for us. So we are really honored and thrilled to be the winner, and what a great competition.
Yeah, no, I had definitely had fun with it, and glad that we could share that experience together. I actually met you at a trade show, I believe.
Yes.
So I had heard about your product prior to the trade show. And so we go to these trade shows, the New England Made shows, what it's called.
Hmm.
It's more of like a wholesale show, I guess. Um, and I go there because I'm looking to add more products to the box of Maine. That was like, I think that was either my first or second year going. They've
Uh-huh.
obviously canceled it a few times since then because of COVID, which we'll touch on a little bit. Obviously don't want to make this whole interview about that because that's kind of hopefully in the past now. We can move forward. But I remember meeting you, and you were you were so hospitable, I guess, just a big smile on your face. You were elegantly dressed, and I, just came with like just casual clothes with like a box of Maine or something. And I'm like, yeah, I've heard about your product.
You're very well branded,
Fit
though. I
in my
think
box. And you're like, okay, well,
you had your
here's some,
professional branded T-shirt and
yeah.
everything, and your box is very well branded. So I think you execute well on your. No, everyone knows who you are.
Yeah. Well, I try my best to get the box and name brand out there as you do as well. But I loved your setup. The price was amazing. The product, you're like here, you were sampling the product. It always helps when people can sample. If you're a food company, I feel like if people can taste the product, that's almost like an instant sale. So that's what that was one of the many things that got me. um, yeah, and then the rest is history. Really, we've been ordering a significant amount. I feel like it's grown over the years, just as you've grown. You've been in business for a lot longer than I have. What did it look like in the beginning?
Looks like a very beginning story of starting out of a lot of sheer force, grit.
Did you start in the basement like I did, or like a garage or your house?
Um, yeah, well, I mean, the initial prototypes my mom and I worked on in her home kitchen. They
Mhm.
weren't for sale. We were just doing research, and then we started in a very small kitchen because in order to manufacture food, you have to be in a licensed
Mhm.
kitchen, unless your home is somehow in a local area that they allow that.
Mhm.
But that was not the case, so we had to rent a location, and then we started with zero equipment and had to scale from there into our
Mhm.
manufacturing that takes place now,
What
which
was
is
the first machine that you bought, or were you renting or
a chocolate
using?
tempering machine.
And what does that do? Is it cook the chocolate?
So a chocolate tempering machine is crucial because hand tempering is really artistic and great for kind of showcasing experiences, but it's not great for volume or
Mhm.
production, if you will. So, tempering machine will heat and cool and heat chocolate to form the right crystals so that it will be workable in the sense
Mhm.
you can dip or enrobe or mold with it, and it will look nice and have a shine and a snap.
Like a smooth finish too?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so how do you design it when it's in the temper? Like, is it molds, right? You have to have certain molds that you pour it into.
That chocolate can be molded,
Yeah.
chocolate can be dipped, um, or you can pour chocolate over things is
Right.
another way.
That's the enrober, right?
Yep, yep, or hand dipping. Uh-huh. I guess hand dipping is the precursor to enrobing.
Yep.
And then there's the raw aspect. So cacao nibs are what I call chocolate before chocolate.
Mhm.
It's the actual meat, in quotes, of the cacao bean. And that is more of a chewy, crunchy texture.
And that's the stuff that you went and sourced throughout the country.
Correct. So we sourced from various countries, particularly from Central and South America. So from Haiti, Guatemala, Dominican Republic, and Belize. And the beans come in these large sacks, if you can kind of
Mhm.
imagine a coffee sack.
Yeah, yeah.
And we bring in those sacks and then start the process of making chocolate, which begins with roasting the beans. So kind of similar to coffee, but different in other ways because cocoa beans have what's called a husk or a shell, which is the sort of outer skin that needs to be removed, and on the inside is the meat or the cocoa nib.
And don't you sell just nibs too?
We do, yeah.
I can't imagine. Those must be very strong tasting.
They are. They're very popular with the paleo, keto, no sugar demographic. I really like them on top of brownies, for example. They add a nice sort of
rich,
nutty, chocolatey texture. And they're really good in overnight oats also, because it gives some chocolate flavor, but it's not sweet like chocolate.
Right. So and then those are used in the bean to bar chocolate production, correct?
Correct. Yes. So we are Maine's first and only, I believe still, bean to bar chocolate maker. So we brought that to Maine, which was an interesting process, because in Maine, the Department of Agriculture is the licensing body. And when I called them up and said, we want to start this new initiative, which was in part as a result of receiving MTI, Maine Technology Institute funding,
right?
Which is a whole other process unto itself. But every entrepreneur should at least take a look at that program put on by MTI, which is kind of a segment of the state of Maine. But anyway, the Department of Ag was funny because they weren't familiar with cocoa beans. So we had to explain the process, and there are a lot of similarities between cocoa and coffee, and there are a lot of coffee roasters. So that was helpful to kind of explain the parallels. And it was a similar dynamic with becoming certified organic by MAFA. So
I always wondered the process on that. It just stresses me out just thinking of it. I'm guessing you had a lot of questions and paperwork and
tons of paperwork. Yeah. So anything that's certified organic, you can guarantee there has been no less than 50 pieces of paper.
Wow. Same thing with certified gluten-free, or?
Yeah, gluten-free certification is very involved. And the rabbi is coming any moment tonight. For our kosher certification, the rabbi comes and personally inspects randomly throughout the year, and it is frequent. So those are all sorts of, components of food manufacturing. Wow. And carrying those levels of certification.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of work. You are a go-getter, Kate. Well, let's peel back a little bit more and let people know a little bit more about yourself. Maybe not necessarily business related, but are you located in Rockland? Is that where you live as well?
So the business is located in Rockland, and I live in Rockport.
Okay, so right next to,
next door. Yep. But they're easily confused and grouped together.
Right. So a fairly short commute for you.
Yes.
How about the family? I haven't had a chance to meet.
Yeah. No. Oh, I'm not married. Okay. I have my parents, Donna and Gordon, who you've met, I think.
Yeah. Donna's a very nice lady, and I remember as she in the back. I haven't worked with her, but she seems to be nice. No, I remember they were willing to drop off some of the product on the way to doing some dance classes in Bangor. I think that's how I initially started getting the product.
Yeah, my parents love to dance. So they go to these, and there's not a lot of dance activity in Maine, so I think they were going to go to Bangor to go dance lessons. And we have dogs, so Bella and Jasper are my mom's dogs, but they're kind of my dogs too. My mom is a dog aficionado. So Bella and Jasper are English Cocker Spaniels, and they are very cute in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. And I'm guessing they don't get to go into work at all with you guys, right? They're not work dogs, or
they're not. Chocolate and dogs do not mix.
Yeah.
So they stay at my parents' house, and they love to walk the breakwater, which is that famous walk out to the lighthouse in Rockland, and they're really cute.
Yeah, I'm definitely a big dog lover myself. So Well, that's cool. So you've been in Maine for a while. I mean, it said you said that you went to New York University.
Yes.
But how long have you lived in Maine for?
So since 2013, we made the big move. My parents and my mom's family in particular had ties to the mid-coast area, Spruce Head specifically. And my parents had a long-term goal of retiring and living full-time in Maine. And we realized that in 2013.
But they haven't retired though, because your dad's always working when I come. He's
No, they have not retired. And my dad is so critical for all these certifications. He is invaluable in helping
yeah. Do you
navigate
think that, I mean,
a
like,
lot of the
do you think
process.
that you could do it without the help of your parents? They seem very involved in the company. And I think that for our
No,
listeners, it's important. Yeah. The short answer, no. But for those that are listening and that watch the show, I think, as a family business and just a business in general, you need to have a good team. You need to have people that are supportive and come alongside you and share the same, aspirations and push and desires. So,
absolutely. And, I've met your dad and your wife,
yeah.
and your kids come along. I think that in the beginning, there's so many different million moving parts that it takes a lot of um, hours, just hours upon hours of just trying to, figure things out. And I think that having family is just incredible. It's a
Mhm.
great gift and great resource. Different generations bring a lot of different experiences together. So I think that's also something that is great to leverage.
Yeah, this just popped into my head. What kind of generation are you guys reaching? Like, I feel like chocolate is multi-generational. Like,
It
do you
is.
have like a target market? Like I know that for gift shopping online, certain demographics, but like I feel like chocolate's for everybody, right? That should be
Chocolate
your
for
slogan.
everybody. It's really interesting. So I think that there are definitely certain demographics, though, that we know are exactly our customers. So,
Right.
for example, it tends to be women that are the purchaser.
Mhm.
And we also find that it totally depends geographically or time of year what impacts sales. And then we have developed a program with fundraising, which is through the schools, where the schools will fundraise with our products. And then we see a very kid-centric purchasing habit, which is more milk chocolate focused,
Right.
whereas adults on average tend to be more dark chocolate
Wow,
focused.
that is so cool.
Yeah.
Huh. That's yeah, because I couldn't make the decision with the caramels. I was like, milk or dark? They're both good. I did the same thing. I reached out to all of the Box of Maine followers and my customers, my fan base. I'm like, I don't know which one. They're both good. You guys tell me. And it was pretty much an even split depending on who
Was
was
it? Yeah.
interested. So I was like, I'll take them both. I can't.
Well, I also wonder if you're reaching such a national geographic
Right.
too. So you can see even the East and West Coast tend to be healthier. So the more dark chocolate focused, whereas
Yeah. Right.
center is more milk chocolate, sweeter flavor profile. But again, that totally depends on like the actual customer. But those are just some of the things. I mean, Americans in general love milk chocolate, but
Right.
there's been an overall
For
shift
some
to
yes, yeah, and
dark.
I completely agree. So in my mind, just as an average consumer, not a chocolate aficionado or anything, but I think of milk chocolate being the less, less unhealthier choice, I guess, but more sweeter and tastier and want it. But then for some reason, dark chocolate, I think it's just been, you know, pounded into our brains that it's the healthier choice. But does it count if I eat like the whole bag? Does it still count as healthy?
Probably not. Well, what's interesting is dark chocolate in general has less sugar because it
Sure.
has more cocoa content. So I think as people are looking at their sugar intake, they try and switch to dark chocolate. But I
Is there
mean,
any other benefits of dark chocolate over milk?
yeah, more magnesium, more flavonols. Just because it has like less sugar and
Mhm.
sometimes no dairy is also for those looking to reduce their dairy intake. They do like dark chocolate without dairy.
I like the combination of chocolate and salt is my favorite.
Yes,
Maine sea
we
salt.
use a lot of Maine sea salt. It's
What's the
amazing.
inspiration behind, like, I feel like you guys are always coming out with new products. I remember coming down there for a chocolatey tour, which was amazing. Are you doing chocolate tours right now, or have things still been kind of on hold?
Yeah, no tours right now.
Yeah. Will they
I
come back eventually, you think, or
industry. I'm not sure. I think the food industry is really um,
volatile kind of?
well, it's more all about food safety as well as
Mhm.
employee safety because we're handling food. So I felt very uncomfortable, as did my mom, with the notion of exposing our staff.
Mhm.
So we've really ceased the tour aspect. I don't know if we'll return to that, but what I'm hoping is we'll continue to kind of explain our brand in other capacities. You came one time with Timber Cross.
Yep, Jeremy Grant from the Timber Cross.
Yeah, Jeremy, and he made an incredible video that was a great way of visually explaining things
Yeah.
for people.
So that's definitely, there's some good resources, some good tools that you can use to give people an idea of what you do there. And I was blown away. Um, and so things have changed, obviously, over the past year. You've probably had to pivot and make some changes. Have you noticed, like, your online uh, presence, your online retail? Did you notice a pretty significant boost?
We saw a lot of people go online
Hmm.
and learn how to shop online, which was great. You know, we've always had a website. We even always had what's now called curbside. Uh,
Right.
we always had a pickup at the factory option because I wanted to give local people access to a whole variety of chocolates that you can't necessarily find anywhere but on our website or from
Sure.
us. And it's funny how curbside became a whole thing, right? It's a whole cultural thing now.
Yeah, we offer it now. It's like curbside pickup.
Right,
Even
right,
Google's like asking me if I offer curbside pickup. I'm like, yes, Google.
right. And I don't know if that'll go away. I mean, it is a nice, convenient
Yeah.
factor in the sense that people don't have to physically go in and shop, right? They just shop in advance and pick up. So I thought that that was so cool. And then no one ever used it. And then the pandemic happened and now tons of people use
Which,
it.
so that's cool. So you've had things already in place. I've had some other businesses on the show that had to quickly try to put together a website or curbs, a takeout window or, you know what I mean? They had to kind of think on the fly, a little bit more pressure and stress involved. So that's nice to hear that you already had some of these things in place. Now, did you notice the wholesale? Because I know we'll talk about a little bit about where people can find your product, but did you notice, I know that you wholesale to retails, the
Mhm.
shopping, some stores and supermarkets and whatnot. Did you notice that that side of the business was down, or did that stay up as well, or consistent?
It depended on the channel or it depended on the retailer, if you will. It was sad. We saw a big decline in the small independent
Yeah.
retailers, and they are so important, I think, in offering amazing products, and they know everything about the products that they offer because I think a lot of them shut down or were forced to shut down. I
Mhm.
know it was a city by city, state by state dynamic, but I think I'm assuming a lot of them were forced to shut down by their city or state or whatnot. And then the things that remained open were the ginormous stores. So yeah, that I do think that that was one of the side effects of the pandemic was just a lot of focus towards very large companies. But we continue to operate and manufacture throughout the pandemic. it was certainly
The
very
chocolate was
challenging.
essential.
Yeah, chocolate was, I think the challenge was, so we had certain systems in place, but we certainly scrambling to secure personal equipment. I emergency called Flowfold, which is another Maine-based company that had switched from making their wallets and bags to face shields, and got a bunch of face shields. This was way back before there were even masks, right? Shields were the thing. And then trying to get, we got hand sanitizer from Split Rock, one of our
I saw that.
partners that we sourced their bourbon.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. That was another question I was going to ask you, is have there been other businesses in Maine that you've been able to collaborate with? And so that was one of them, right? Is there any other ones?
Yes. So we make a bourbon bar with Split Rock, which is an incredible bar where we soak the cocoa nibs for several weeks with their bourbon and then make chocolate with it. And then we work with Allagash, which is
the beer brittle,
our brand new product that is really taking off. It's called Beer Brittle. Did I give you a sample of that? I don't remember.
No, but you can if you want.
It's unbelievable peanut brittle or tree nut brittle. We make one with tree nuts and nibs with beer cooked into it. So it is
like that, but the alcohol cooks off though. You're not going to get all.
Yep.
Okay.
But it remains flavorful with
Sure.
a beer dynamic. And it's a cooked candy brittle piece. So it is pretty awesome.
There's nobody, I don't think there's anybody around here doing that. I haven't seen it, but it sounds good.
Where does it?
Where's the inspiration come from with these products? I see you have so many great products.
I've always been a researcher, I'll call that. So I think when you in undergrad and school, write all these papers, you're always researching things. And so I had done some market research and also looked at the fact that craft beer, what is really a thing in Maine, it's, I think the rabbi's here. Hold on. Hi, Rabbi.
Hi, how are you? Good. What was a sweet experience?
Yeah, I'm on a podcast.
I'm the rabbi.
Okay.
The rabbi has arrived. Do you need to take care of that?
No, my dad's gonna.
Okay, edit.
Right. So anyway, the craft beer movement in Maine, as you can attest to, is huge, right? There's even a brew bus driving people from brewery to brewery. And I thought, how can we partner with beer? Because I've always been a fan of the concept of where are the trends and where can we meet the customer where the customer is. And sometimes my struggle has been that I'm almost too avant-garde. And I was trying to say, instead of being esoteric beyond kind of where the market might be, what is comforting? What is everyday? What is Maine? And beer kept coming up as a concept. And then peanut brittle is very Americana. It's not explicitly Maine, but I think adding that beer component to it. Right. So that's sort of.
So you have some products that are just the market's demanding for it, or it's pretty evident like, hey, this could be a really good product. And then you have some that are particular to Maine and they're specific, they have the Maine sea salt or the wild Maine blueberries or like the chocolate lobster. Obviously those are very Maine oriented and inspired. So I like how you kind of have a little bit of both. You're not just in one lane.
I also think it's about innovation and creativity. So the example of the beer brittle was, does the market really need more brittle, peanut brittle? And the concept was, no. Market needs differentiated brittle. And then entering in the craft beer component with the brittle was putting a Maine spin on it. and also more kind of, as I was explaining to you, sometimes we're a woman-owned company. I'm a woman. We sell to a lot of women. I was also trying to think about how do you develop a product that, of course, women buy beer bottle. I'm not saying they don't buy beer bottle. Tons of women buy beer bottle, but what could they buy for their husband that is for Father's Day or their birthday that's more of a male demographic? And the beer bottle was targeted to that segment. And now, I mean, we're just launching the beer bottle, and it's incredible. It's taking off like a.
Well, it sounds like you need to send me some, because if it's taken off, I want to get on board of that rocket ship and fly to the moon, I guess.
I think you're gonna like it.
I feel like that was kind of a little subtle jab towards your green light Maine wind. I'm just saying, but so anyways, so we talked a little bit how COVID's impacted the business. Positive. What about negative? I know you had some hard times with employees and getting them to work, and what about being down some employees production wise? You've had some issues with sourcing products. I remember one time you told me you were having a hard time getting one of the components. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So I think COVID's a perfect case study of a perfect storm, right? You just have one wave crashing after another, and you're trying to keep looking forward, trying to anticipate what could be next. And it's a challenge. I think everyone in Maine has faced labor shortages throughout the pandemic, and now post-pandemic world, it is a very tight labor market. I am hopeful that is going to change once the federal program, subsides and everyone returns to work. Another component of that, I'm certain, is schools, right? So it's hard for people to work when they don't have childcare, which is in the form of school for a lot of people. I also think that the people who did come and work wanted to work, and they're phenomenal. And we all worked and wore our masks and showed up and made product, socially distant, rearranged the factory to space out. Wow. Which slowed a lot of things down, but we were really adamant that we wanted to do things the right way. And I think that was always our goal, is like, let's just keep moving forward and keep trying to overcome those challenging waves. And supply chain is an ongoing dynamic. I mean, I think you've probably heard cardboard has gone up.
Started. 3 times in the past 6 months.
3 times. And I'm just like, how many more times can you guys do this to us? We can't just keep absorbing that. You could absorb maybe 1 price increase, I think, per year, but to do 3 in 1 year is really untenable.
Yeah, when you're talking high volume, thousands of boxes, even if it is only 10, 20 cents or whatever, that adds up.
Oh, it does tremendously. And then there's a pallet shortage right now. So you just have to be really kind of sneaky and conniving and figure out, like, call around who's got pallets. So a local coffee roaster had some extra pallets, and went and grabbed them from them, which was really nice of them. So I think the supply chain is still going to be a disruption.
I'm still getting hit hard. It seems like every week something else is increasing. So, all right. Well, I'm starting to feel a little depressed. Let's switch it up a little bit. What's your favorite restaurant and do you have a favorite restaurant in Rockland or in the general area, Camden, Belfast, Mid-Coast? So
I have a couple.
Okay. Share with me some good restaurants.
All right. So I like to do it by category. If I were to say, very high-end restaurant, you would look at Primo and Nina June. The Lost Kitchen, if you can get in there. Natalie's in Camden, really great, and In Good Company. I really like Sammy's Deluxe in Rockland for a fantastic burger. And then
Sammy's Deluxe, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, he makes a killer burger.
What about the guy that does the barbecue over there? I see him by your area. Is he good? Yeah.
I hear it's really good.
He's never there when I drive by.
Yeah, he's only there 3 days a week. And I'm thinking that's a great business model. You only work 3 days a week.
Gee. And then you got Wasses, I think it is, or
Wassie's is
I think that's
famous
been
for
around
hot
for a while.
dogs.
Yeah.
There's also, it's seasonal, but Clune's Lobster Shack in
Mhm.
Spruce Head is incredible in terms of the setting and their corn chowder. And then I am pretty much obsessed with it's a whole experience. You have to be committed, okay, and secure the boat, and then take a reconditioned lobster boat from literally 5 feet from my factory out to North Haven and go to Nebo Lodge or their sister farm called Turner Farm. And Turner Farm has these barn dinners that are
Wow.
epic. And it's farm to table prepared meal that you share with in a group setting. And the boat ride is.
Do you drive on the boat or?
No, you sit on the boat, and
Okay.
there's some areas you have to stand. It's a lobster boat, an old lobster boat, but huge engine, and he just like takes on the ocean. You get to have a beautiful sunset and ride out to the island and back and forth. But if you can't get the boat, you can't.
I was gonna say the boat doesn't come that often, right? Or
no. I guess you'd have to take the ferry and stay over and take the ferry back.
Wow, that is a whole experience. It sounds like.
It's awesome. I had heard about it, and then you had to be really aggressive about getting tickets because it's a very small amount of ticket allocation, and people come from all over the world to go to those dinners. It's amazing. I ran into one of the actors from Sex and the City.
That's a total girl show.
On the boat ride. He plays one of their friends. Anyway, yeah, that's my.
So people from all over the world come to visit that that experience. What about like a favorite place to visit in Maine? Obviously, you have the breakwater. When I was down there, I was like, Kate, I got some extra time. What should I do? You're like, go check out Owl's Head. I was like, what's Owl's Head? And what a beautiful spot. That's another great little Rockland has some good spots.
The breakwater is not to miss. Gotta do it. I think that there's an amazing restaurant that I didn't mention in the Cregner Inn in the Causeway. It's called the Causeway Restaurant in the Cregner Inn, and they are overlooking Clark Island, which is a causeway to the island, and you can walk around in this reserve and go swimming in a quarry.
What? I need to come back down your way.
Yeah, they have brunch on Sundays now. Because have you found that outside of Portland, there's not a lot of brunch options?
Yeah.
In Maine, I feel like there's
we have Bagel Central, which is a really good little bagel shop, but they're always they have some really good food. So if you're ever up in Bangor area, check them out. So lots of good food, lots of good things to see in Maine. We talked about products. We talked about how COVID's impacted the business. How about this? Here's something I haven't asked you. What's an average day look like? Tell me that. Wake up a little. You like to sleep in? Are you an early bird? Be honest.
Yeah, no. So I wish there were average days, right? Because then you could like have a plan and stick to it. It tends to be you have a general outline, and then you just shift gears throughout the day. So this morning we were waiting for a freight truck to come in and take an order for pumpkin caramels. Can you believe this? We're shipping pumpkin caramels
right now
on July 14th. That's how early back to school and pumpkin is hitting store shelves. And he was the driver. A lot of these drivers are not from Maine or have never even maybe been to Maine. And they call and they're just like, where are you? Because we're in this working waterfront. We're not in an industrial park. And there's a one-way main street in Rockland, and you can't drive a truck down that main street. So these truck drivers get very nervous because they need to come by the barbecue guy. That's always how I give the determining directions and Coast Guard station, and then turn right, and then they think they're going to drive into the ocean, So I was trying to talk him into finding us, and then I wanted to make sure that went out without any issue. So I was overseeing that, and I tend to start my day, I hate to admit this, but I look at my phone.
I think you and most people do. Yeah.
I look at the emails, I look at orders that might have come in, look at any social media announcements, any issues that are kind of immediate, right?
Yeah.
And then I think the key for me to starting a good morning is a really good cup of coffee.
I knew you were gonna say that. I'm the same way. Like,
yeah,
what you're describing it's really every day here as well. I don't know if it's just a small business thing or what, but you have a schedule of how you would like the day to go, and then you're on the phone talking to someone, a delivery driver, or you're dealing with urgent customer requests, and things just constantly change every day. I kind of like that aspect. I kind of like that it's not cookie cutter. Every single day is the same, although there are similar things that we do every day as small business owners. But I don't know, it keeps you on your toes, I would say. And
it totally does. I think my goal, I'll put this one out there, right? It's good to have goals.
I was going to ask you what your goals were.
I hope to have a time where at least one day you could carve out maybe half a day where you could work from home and not be in the thick of it, and kind of work on the business, if you will, right? Because like you and I are in the business all the time, and I've always heard from mentors that you have to spend time on the business or you don't have a strategy to go forward. And you sometimes moderately succeed at cutting out some time on that aspect, but I also think that you need to have a really great team too. And so couldn't do any of it without that great team that's here making the chocolates and executing every day at a really high level. So that's key. And also, having fun, right? Like we make chocolates.
Hey, we pack gift boxes with chocolates in them. So Christmas time, we're singing Christmas songs. We're singing whatever songs we can to get by some days.
Yep.
We're dancing. We're telling jokes. I mean, it is. You got to make light of it. I think there is a time to bite down on the mouthpiece, if you will, and to just go head first and tackle a large order. But if you're not having fun, the morale can get low. People would just get kind of burnt out. So you seem like a great boss to work for, just in our conversations. I don't know, you might, behind the scenes, you might be cracking the whip. More chocolates. Faster.
I try and have
a healthy
fun
balance
dynamic. I do think at times, there's so many moving parts. I think that's the challenge, right? So especially with all these supply chain delays, you're just kind of like, wow, how do I solve the kind of current issue and then wait for the next order to come in that we're waiting for. Yeah. So I think that hopefully by 2022 things are gonna kind of calm back down again, but it's certainly been an interesting casebook of everything, right? I mean, I think as small businesses we've had to deal with so many different things.
I try not to get overwhelmed. When I start to feel overwhelmed, I try to take a step back, take a deep breath, learn to try to delegate and just prioritize. I haven't mastered it yet. Still an ongoing process here, but that's the learning curve, I guess. You make the mistakes, you learn, and you just keep pressing forward. So it sounds like you've done that. Have you made any mistakes? Has there been any products that have flopped and you put a lot of time and effort and some money into that just didn't do as well as you thought they would? You were really, you had a good feeling. Yes.
Yes. I'll give a great example.
Lobster the chocolate chapstick.
Okay, so I went to pastry school, and so I think part of my initial recipe development and research was very avant-garde, right? It was very esoteric. It was like, what is the cutting edge in the world of chocolates? And our first blueberry bar, and we're from Maine, right? Blueberry bars are very important. In the world of cooking, ironically enough, one of the flavor enhancers of blueberry is black pepper.
Wow, okay.
So I had a black pepper blueberry bar.
Okay. Doesn't sound as good. You had me and then you lost me.
Exactly. Yep. But what's cool about being a small company is you can change things a lot faster than
Right.
a ginormous company. So we changed it to sea salt, dark chocolate, blueberry, sea salt, cashew. So that's an example of I really
Well, that's kind of cool though. So it was not good, but then you turned it into what I would consider a good product. That's the whippersnapper, yeah.
yes, and you were the awesome company that somehow got
Oh,
Irish
you saw that.
folks on this
Yep.
blog, this YouTube channel where they have millions of views.
Mhm.
So many people are like, wait, I just watched this random YouTube video and I learned about the whippersnapper bar.
And guess what? I need to order more. So after this, we'll be talking. So yes, if you haven't already, if you're listening, you're watching, check out the whippersnapper bar that we're talking about. Dark chocolate, cashews, blueberries, sea salt.
Yes.
It's good. It is very, very good. It will it will satisfy your cravings for sure. So, all
Yeah.
right, Kate, I want to wrap things up, but before I do that, a few questions. Have you been able to do anything with the local community in Rockland at all, or in the surrounding areas? What are some ways that you kind of give back and play a part in your community?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I think being involved in your local community is just key. And I'll give an example. So tomorrow, we are partaking in a cook-off competition for the Trekkers. And the Trekkers, if you all don't know about, you should Google them. They're an amazing organization that is all about youth leadership and fostering youth education through various programs like outdoors and
mhm.
leadership training. And they have touched so many people's lives. It's really amazing. So we are partaking in this cook-off where our chef Bonnie has to use this special cooker that they loan, and you have to cook a meal on this cooker at an outdoor tent. And she's going to be making a delicious dessert with our chocolate. And
Okay.
all the proceeds go to the Trekkers fund for the Trekkers to go on their most important trip of the year. So that's an example. We are also a Coast Guard city, so we are involved a lot with the Coast Guard
Mhm.
and donate to some of their efforts to support the Coast Guard families, because their station Coast Guard is really close to our factory. And we work with Big Brothers Big Sisters,
Nice.
as well as so the Project Puffin is also here. That's part of the Audubon Society's effort to rehabilitate the puffins that nest off the coast of Maine. So we have our line of puffin chocolates
Oh yeah.
where we donate a percentage of proceeds to the Audubon Project Puffin. And if you, I should
Cool.
have added that to things to do, is to go on the boat and see the puffins. Have you done that?
I had an unsuccessful whale watching trip that turned bad because we all got sick, but we saw some puffins on the trip. That's about the only thing that we saw while we were all sick. But they gave us a voucher to go back again. I just haven't been too excited to go back out on the ocean, but
Aren't the
maybe if we
puffins
stay
cute?
close to the coast or something.
The
That sounds
puffins
good.
are so cute. They're so small. I
Yeah.
think people think puffins are the size of penguins, but there's just a general confusion between puffin and penguin.
Yeah.
They're not the same. They're not the
Go
same.
look it up for those that are confused. Puffins and penguins are not the same.
Right, right. So the puffin is adorable, and they are endangered, and we are trying to support
Hey, all
with
good. I
our
love it.
chocolates.
Well, that's a lot more than what I expected. Sounds like I need to do a little bit more in my community. Hey, we sponsored the Old Town Little League baseball team this year.
Nice.
Yep. And some more things that I'm working on. But yes, giving back to the community feels good. It's the right thing to do. I feel like every small business should be looking at ways to do that. So how about food shows? We'll wrap things up. Food shows. We talked about in the beginning of the show, we talked about how I met you at a wholesale show called New England Made Show. They've canceled it. I have heard that they're going to possibly do a fall one. Do you do any other? Actually, no, I've seen you at the Harvest Festival.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans on doing anything this year or next year?
It I have to come to peace with the angst that I feel about not
Sure.
being at trade shows.
Thousands of people around each other.
Yeah, it's hard, right? So as a small business, lead generation is so critical. Like if I hadn't met you, just think about that, right? If I hadn't done that show and I hadn't met you, that would have been missing out on so many great things that led to other great things. So trade shows are very important to businesses. And it's so hard because even when you have these virtual trade shows, they are just not exactly the same. So, but back in the day when you have to make these decisions, you make the decision based on your best information at hand. And the information at hand was no, because we might not all be vaccinated. And so I did not sign up for any trade shows. My parents are high risk. So I, in particular, took that into account and didn't want to expose staff and other people. So we made the decision, no. But I'm hopeful that in 2022, we're going to resume. Mm-hmm. The one event that I did hear about was something that related to the bicentennial, because our main bicentennial now is delayed a year later, that there's going to be some really cool show for the bicentennial. And we have a really cool new product that's coming.
Oh, so you're gonna have to pay close attention. Maybe by the time this podcast gets released, it will be out. We'll see. So
very mean.
That's a good segue into the last piece, which is where can people find Bixby products? Yes. Retailers, online. We talked about a little bit. Box of Maine, obviously, but lead us out with your social media and where people can find Bixby products.
Yes. So just for you and your listeners, I made a discount code for our website. It's called Made in Maine 10, all one word, Made in Maine 10, on BixbyCo.com, not Bixby.com. That's a city in Oklahoma, BixbyCo.com. And you guys can get a discount on our products on our website. You can find our items in stores like Rennie's, Hannaford's, local independent co-ops, gift stores, Acadia National Park, going through there.
Nice.
Stonewall Kitchen and LL Bean.
And a couple big names is all. Jeez. You throw those out there so casually, Kate.
Look, it's not
easy to get into those places. Don't act
to deal with I call them the big companies. So yeah, but it's really cool to work with some of the people we're able to work with. So you can find our products throughout Maine and in other states as well. And in the Box of Maine.
All right. What about social media? We want people to go over and give you some love on Facebook and Instagram.
Please give us some love. We're Bixby Chocolate on Facebook and Instagram and on Pinterest. I'm getting into Pinterest.
What about TikTok?
I'm on TikTok, but I need like TikTok lessons from you.
No, we have no idea what we're doing. We're just trying to make funny videos, I guess.
You're always like a UPS guy.
That one went viral. We did for those that are watching may have not heard, a UPS guy. He's such an awesome guy. This guy he's the best UPS driver ever. And we just wanted to make his day and to make him laugh. And he just had a long day. They work really hard, those guys.
Oh my God, the UPS, FedEx, and Postal.
Yeah, they've been having rough
are amazing, and they're so important to businesses like ours.
Mm-hmm. And so we said, well, we'll just pop out of a box and ask him if he wants a Moxie. And he keeled over laughing. And then we got him to drink a Moxie on another video. And he's like, actually, it's not that bad, he said.
We have 3 followers on TikTok.
Okay.
Bixby Chocolate.
Am I one of them? I think Box of
I don't know. 5 views of my video of making s'mores. So
awesome. Well, Kate, thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking the time, carving out a little bit of time for us for the Made in Maine podcast show. And yeah, it's been great to have you on here and just chat it up, talk, and people get to kind of see a little bit more behind the scenes stuff about what goes on, and just small business owners. We can have some fun too.
Thank you so much for having me, and congrats on this incredible podcast. Wade, you do this with such grace of promoting Maine-made products, because we make great stuff in Maine, and not many people know that. And Box of Maine gets it out there and tells everyone about the amazing things made in Maine. And I think that is so rad that you do that. So thank you.
Well, thank you. It brings me great joy. That's just what I want to do. Like, I just want to be able to give people a little bit of Maine. So thanks for being a part of that. And I foresee your product being in the Box of Maine and not going anywhere. So yay, let's keep it going, right? Maine supporting Maine is what I call it.
Absolutely.
So, all right, Kate, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Be expecting an order very soon.
Okay.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Season 2 of the Made in Maine podcast. We hope that you thoroughly enjoyed this episode and would like to ask you to consider sharing it with friends, family, and your business peers. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Also, you can find the Made in Maine podcast on YouTube, iTunes, GooglePlay, Spotify, and all other digital streaming services. If you would like to financially support the show and be a part of putting Maine on the map, you can subscribe to us on Patreon or email madeinmainepodcast@gmail.com. So shop local, shop small, and save Maine businesses once and for all.